All right. We are group 4. Everybody's in attendance. Stacy Futrell, David Roach, LaShonda May, and we're completing assignment 2 of the basic guide to supervision and instructional leadership. Assignment 2 says, citing the text, declare a definition of andragogy using any one of Drago Severin's pillars practices for adult learners. Explain one practice in school that aligns with your beliefs about effective supervision of teachers and adults in schools. Okay. So if we want to start with about declaring a definition of andragogy.
So right off the bat, let's just kind of get bull by the horns here. Andragogy is basically the education of adults.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I pulled out at 110%. So we're looking at adult education.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. As far as when I just looked at the word and just taking, breaking the word apart, I was like, well, my definition was how adults learn was what I was thinking. Like that was before I even looked at anything else.
Yeah, and that's what I picked up too. Because I was trying to sum it up in one phrase, just the theory of adult learning and how adults learn.
Yeah. Because then I looked up the real the definition, like from the book and other things. It was saying the method and practice of teaching adult learners, like, and what David said, adult education. So just by looking at that was what I had, the definition that I got. All right.
And then also, okay, you're good. We can go on.
All right. So everybody we all said the definition of andragogy was pretty much adult learning and how they learn.
Mm-hmm.
So using one of those pillar practices for adult, explain one practice in schools that align with your beliefs about effective supervision of teachers and adults in schools, using one of those pillar practices.
I can start. I went with number 2. Number 2 said providing opportunities for teachers to serve in leadership roles. For example, mentoring graduate student interns, knowledge-based management, technology leader, sharing decision-making, and leading accreditation teams. We do practice that in our school because I'm actually a mentor for the first time this year. That is considered a leadership role. I've had the opportunity to attend mentor training for the most part. And what I got from that is, when I attended the training, is to pretty much encourage beginning teachers to eventually take on a leadership role. You don't want to overwhelm them all at one time, but encouraging them that they can do it, but eventually moving into leadership roles.
Yeah,
I agree with
you. As far as, go ahead, David.
I was just going to kind of splice into that a little bit with teaming. Because I think teamwork is essential to success in schools. Teamwork makes the dream work. But I think one of the pitfalls that we really come into in modern education is, like, we try to over team things, if that makes sense. I know a lot of times in schools, and from personal experience, best practice is saying that teachers work in teams and they work collaboratively and what have you. And what happens is, in a perfect world, that teamwork and that collaboration would come together organically, right? Like, for example, the person I teach social studies with, for the other half of grade level, he and I work very well together, but it's something that we've built over time, and we've worked together for like 3 or 4 years. And I think that it's important to keep in mind that when we talk about things like teamwork, is that you have to, like, foster team building. And I know that's such like a cheap thing to say, like, oh, foster team building and have icebreakers and things like that, but it is important that you feel like you can trust and work with your team, right? Because a lot of times in teaching, there's that one negative person, or there's that the person that doesn't have the good of the group at their heart, and things like that. It can create some very awkward working situation. So I think that teaming is all well and good, but it has to be done appropriately, and it has to be allowed to grow organically.
Yeah, I said the same thing as far as the number 2 out of the 4 about providing opportunities for teachers to serve in the leadership roles. Because to me, one person, one supervisor cannot run the whole organization. Or you have to have people to do things like to delegate jobs out to other people, because you as one cannot run a whole school, for example. And a lot of the teachers, maybe not some of the beginning teachers, but some of the veteran teachers, they might want that leadership role so they can have a little bit more input in things that go on around the school. I know as far as like our dismissal at school, we had a lot of issues at the beginning of the year, and teachers are the ones that kind of brought a new way of doing things for our dismissal, and now it works good. But so you've got where you have those teachers that want to be in leaderships and that provide those things, other different ways of doing things at the school.
Yeah, and going off what you just said, Stacy, when you said the teachers with your dismissal, we actually had an issue with that as well. Number 2, there was a part where it says sharing decision making, basically decision making and problem solving. A lot of times those items are brought to our SIT team, but our administrator puts it back on the teachers. Go back, talk to your team members, and see what we can work out together for the most part. And also back to mentoring. I've been in the school that I'm at for 6 years now, and those teachers that were graduate interns 4 and 5 years ago, they are now mentors to those students that are coming in as well, and they're just as strong as those veteran teachers. So I think what was it took the modeling or the mentorship that they came from up under to where they are today.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because, if you look at the 4 practices, they kind of, to me, they kind of go hand in hand almost.
They intertwine.
Yes.
They do.
Because, number 4 is mentoring, which you just, number 2, you're saying that you're mentoring. The encouraging various forms of teaming and partnering with colleagues. We just talked about the partnership and creating teams. But sometimes, like David said, I think sometimes we might create too many teams within our school. Like you may have, at one time we had a school improvement team and a leadership team too, that, we really didn't need the leadership team because we could do the leadership within the school improvement team. So we ended up cutting that out this year, and that saves, some time, especially if you had the same teacher serving on both committees. But sometimes you have the too many teams, and it can cause more conflict than good.
Yeah, and we actually, what you just said, Stacy, our school improvement team is our leadership team, but whenever we have our meetings, we title it different. If it's a school improvement team meeting itself, then we have those external stakeholders as far as like the parents and community members, they can come in. But if it's a leadership team meeting, it's just for those staff members, especially if we're going through, I'm not sure if you all in the NC Star, as far as there's certain objectives that we have to put in indicators to meet because we're considered a low performing school. So we have to take steps to make sure that we meet those indicators into moving into a school of excellence.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. What else do we have for number 1? Partnering with colleagues within and outside of school. We had our half-day PLC yesterday. Typically, we do it twice a year. Like K1, we'll do it in the fall and in the spring. Yesterday, kindergarten went, and we actually went off of campus to collaborate, basically to plan for the rest of the year and map out the curriculum, look at our student data based on middle of the year assessments as well. We used to have curriculum teams, like a math team, social studies, but I think they've gotten away from that a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, we we have two, we call them, well, every month we have a PLC day. Like on Wednesdays, most time are our meeting days. And we meet.
Right.
And, one Wednesday is our PLC day within our grade level. And then we have a vertical alignment meeting where we, K2 might meet 3, 5, and 6, 8. And EC and resource, we rotate with each grade level or sets of grade levels. And so there you have things that are covering between K2, you know, going from each grade level, what things that are, like we just had a new program for kindergarten and first grade, a reading program that just come into place that they just started. The second grade had not started it because they wanted to, at the place where second grade was where they had to start, it was too high for some of those second grade students because they had not had the kindergarten level and the first grade level. So when the kindergartners actually get to second grade, they'll be able to be on track of doing the second grade work because they've had it since kindergarten. So, but it's the vertical alignment meetings. They really help to see what each grade level's doing and what they have to do. And then we have the PLC days within our grade level.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because we do PLCs too. Ours once a month, typically on Tuesdays. Matter of fact, we have one next week.
Yep.
And teaching teams, I was actually a co-teacher for about 3 years, but I've seen the co-teaching done two ways. When I was co-teaching, it was just 2 regular ed classroom teachers. We just had an increased number of students. Like we had the max, like 32, because it was 2 of us in the classroom. But this year, there's a kindergarten class where it was a regular ed kindergarten teacher, but there was also a teacher that was certified to work with autistic students. So,
yeah, I've done that this year. The inclusion part where I go in the general ed classrooms, regular ed classrooms, and I work with those struggling students. Now, in my 4th grade group, you know, they have that read to achieve, and that class, the going into 4th grade, you have that transition class that people, the kids that didn't pass the read to achieve test. And so that whole class pretty much, they're all of your EC students. Maybe not all of them, most of them are. Some of them may be your lower students and have not been identified. But so I go in there and work with those, with that teacher and with those students. And it's very beneficial for those students when you have the two teachers in there.
Right.
Does anybody have anything else to add for as far as andragogy? I think I said that right again. Or the pillar practices?
No, I think we've summed it up for the most part.
I think so too.
Yeah.
David, do you have anything to add? Good.
No, I think that's 100% fine. I think we nailed it.
All right. I'm going to stop recording.